Yeah, it's working for Discord.
Okay. Let's see.
So it's just backstage, man. It's not working.
Okay. Here, let me try. I'm gonna Discord call you.
Okay.
What about Austin?
He's here. He's in the backstage.
Oh, okay. Show him now. Hey, Austin, I'm gonna call you on Discord. Because for some reason this just doesn't want to work.
Hey, 1 second. Give me 1 second. You guys start.
All right, I'm gonna call you on Discord. Let's see.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Is that going? Should have virtual cam. Nice. Okay. Oh, hold on. Let's fix that. There we go. Should have Austin soon.
He's going through the airport, so I don't know how much you're gonna get of him.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. We're good. We got your camera stuff on. Wait, what camera are you using?
Sony A7.
I might be able to help next time I come over. I might be able to help you to get the extra stuff off.
Yeah, it only really is a problem if
calls.
If guest stars is not working.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I wonder why. Okay. Yeah, so chat, we're waiting on Austin here, and we are going to do our draft pre-show in just or a post-show, excuse me, in just a moment. We did have the draft show just a few days ago, and that went great. The NFL draft is now over, and we're going to have a lot to talk about. We'll talk about draft winners, losers, just different teams in general, how they did within the draft, and it is going to be great. We are waiting for Austin to call in as well. He's going to be joining us. It's going to be great.
Hey, baby.
Hello.
So much easier. So much easier. How's it going?
Yeah.
Yo.
Dude, guest star is very flaky.
I only ever have, like, I've like never had problems with guest star, except for, like...
I think it's just when you're trying to use mobile and stuff like that, and it's just kind of a clusterfuck. But
yeah, maybe.
Oh,
because you have to keep the app open.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hello, gentlemen.
Anyway.
Hello.
Happy round 3 of the draft. Apologies for not showing my face. Just had reconstructive face surgery.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Nice.
so that's the reason why I'm unable to show it. Doctor said the camera would probably impact my recovery. So anyway, long story short, here I am.
Here you are. Okay, so chat, we did just have the NFL draft. The draft show was incredible. It was super, super sick, as it was last year as well. So we were super happy with how that went. I hope you guys got to enjoy that as much as we got to enjoy putting it on. So big thing that we want to talk about is day 2 and 3 of the draft, which involves round 2 and 3, and then on the third day it's 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yeah. So there's a lot to talk about. We have winners to talk about. We have losers to talk about. And again, chat, we're doing this thanks to our sponsor, Cash App. So you guys know without Cash App, the draft show couldn't have even happened. So other than being easy and a safe way to send and receive money, Cash App also does offer free customizable debit cards that come equipped with premium perks and exclusive offers. So all with no hidden fees. And we hope you guys enjoyed seeing our customized cards over during the draft show. So huge shout out to Cash App. And let's go ahead and get it started. How did you guys feel about round 1 of the NFL draft?
I mean, we were live for it, so I kind of broadcasted most of my feelings. I think it was pretty straightforward. Not many outright losers, aside from the Atlanta Falcons, who, in the wake of their decision, it just seems like such a stupid thing to do, to pay $100 million for a guy, and then immediately turn around and fuck them up the ass.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, and Will, if I can piggyback off of this for a second, I was, in the midst of draft, the first round of the draft, I'm thinking, okay, maybe there's something I'm missing here. Maybe there's a moment of clarity that I'll have after the fact. Maybe I'll say something in the post-mortem that would give me some sort of justifiable reason to make this choice.
No.
None of that happened. It still sounds just as ridiculous as when I first
by the
heard
way,
it.
when
I don't
the
know if you
day
guys
of, they
saw,
said it was a
there
2-year contract.
Particular moment.
2-year with an option. Sorry, I just wanted to fill that in. Awesome.
You said it's a 2-year option on the Kirk Cousins deal.
Yeah, keep going, Austin.
Oh, sorry. So there was a particular moment in which the GM was seen talking to the owner and trying to justify the call, and you could see the owner like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Yeah.
And as I understand, he's a relatively new GM, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It was crazy. There's no justifying, but I am thankful it was a gift to the Minnesota Vikings. So it was it was a gift to the Vikings. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, I think most of the draft was probably more so. Take last year's draft, for example. Last year's draft was crazy. There was tons of trades, a lot of ups and downs, people moving back and forth in the draft. This year's draft was kind of par for the course as far as what a lot of people expected, as far as maybe the first 10 picks goes. The first real kind of wrench in the whole picture was the Michael Penix pick by the Falcons. But there was also another interesting thing, and when we're talking about positional stuff goes, or as far as positional stuff goes, is the wide receiver position kind of got mixed up from what a lot of people thought was the standard sort of ranking for the top. I mean, how many receivers got picked in the first round? Was it 6?
6.
It was 6.
The last one was Ricky Pearsall.
Was it Parasol or Xavier Legette? It was one. It was one of the two.
Legette went to Carolina, so 7, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess it was 7. Okay. So then with 7, I feel like picking guys like Adonai Mitchell was still on the board. Lad McConkey was still on the board from Georgia. Adonai from Texas. And then you see teams going with Xavier Legette, with Parasol, even Xavier Worthy, right? Xavier Worthy was not the top receiver at Texas. It was Adonai Mitchell. Or people saw him as the top receiver because they saw Adonai Mitchell as the top receiver coming out of Texas. But Xavier Worthy got picked faster, and a lot of that has to do with the 40-yard dash time, right? This guy ran the fastest 40-yard dash time in history of the NFL Combine. Bless you, Will.
Yep.
So the Panthers running in at the end of round 1, and they trade into the first round to go get Xavier Legette, taking a receiver, which they very clearly needed, and then the Bills, of course, giving the old like Toro, and kind of cucking all the fans out of the thinking they were gonna have a first round draft pick because they traded down twice, right? And then they ended up with. Did they draft? No. The Chargers drafted McConkey, and then the Bills drafted. Who did the Bills draft?
The Bills.
I'm trying to remember who they took. I'm drawing a blank here, but if I remember right, hold on, NFL Draft Tracker. I should already have this open to have my notes. The Bills took Keon Coleman. So they ended up taking a receiver anyway.
Oh yeah, FSU.
Yeah, they took Keon Coleman. So they end up taking a receiver anyway. So all of a sudden, off the board at once, we see Xavier Worthy go off to the Chiefs, and it was literally just like free pickings of receivers. You had Legette, you had Parasol, you had Xavier Worthy, you had Keon Coleman, you had McConkey. You had all these guys come off in like 10 picks, tons of receivers, because there was a lot of receivers in this draft with really high grades. But a lot of that was in the first round, right, which we covered live over on last Thursday. But I want to hear from you guys. Who in the next 2 days really stood out as big winners of the draft between rounds 2 and 7?
In my opinion, the team that really just cooked the most was the Steelers, man. They found so much talent.
Okay.
They got Roman Wilson pretty late. They got I think his name was Peyton Willis. He was a linebacker out of NC State that was like the fastest linebacker in the draft.
Oh yeah, Peyton Wilson.
Yeah, the Steelers always seem to find value, and in those late rounds, they were just cooking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think another one is, I mean, you can't go wrong with the Eagles. I don't know what it is about the Eagles. The Eagles, and I used this analogy before, they literally are like the guy that plays Mario Party, and they're playing King of the Hill, and they just sit there in the middle, and they literally don't do anything, and they literally just have players falling in their laps. The draft just shakes out in a way where they're like, oh yeah, we just randomly had like, I don't know, within 10 picks of each other, we had 2 guys that fell like 20 picks in the draft. They're 2 like top 15 talents, and we just kind of like fell in our laps. But I mean, that kind of stuff happens to them like all the time. I mean, they even got Quinion Mitchell, right? Quinion Mitchell in the first round, who's a lot of people saw him as a top corner. I personally thought he was the top corner in the draft. Almost everybody had him as a top 3 or 4. So yeah, I mean, they have that kind of stuff happen to them all the time. So it's they end up getting in a position to end up getting Quinion Mitchell, and here's another one. They end up taking Cooper DeJean, who I had as my second best corner. So the Eagles end up getting the top 1 and 2 cornerback in the draft. I mean, at least for my assumption. Way
down from where they're supposed to be.
Way down. People thought both of those guys were top 15 picks. And then they got Cooper DeJean in like the middle of the second round, and then they end up getting Quinion Mitchell like way late in round 1. Insane.
Yeah, man. Eagles always seem to have an uncanny knack about that. We talked about it day 1, and it just seemed like the board fell to them every day. But I don't know. Steelers had a good draft as well. Eagles. I'm trying to think if anybody else really wowed me in the later rounds. This draft was really top heavy, so I think the most obvious winner are the Bears. But the Bears were supposed to win, right? The Bears had the picks available to them that unless they made a really bad decision, they were going to come out with some pretty good players. And I think Rome Odunze is going to be a really nice compliment to Caleb. And that offense is set to cook. That might be the best rookie number 1 overall QB situation that we've ever seen in the NFL, and
Yeah.
we'll see what he does.
Yeah. I mean, I disagree. I think the Bears, they had a good draft. But I think it was overshadowed by the Vikings taking that demon,
Yeah,
that game changer.
big time.
All right. From Alabama. And you know what? Dallas Turner is going to be blowing up that offensive line in Soldier Field and at US Bank Stadium this year. So good first part of the draft, not as great on the second part once the Vikings started cooking.
Yeah.
I think I want to talk about I'm going to talk about the Cowboys. Okay, let's talk about
All right.
How about them Cowboys?
let's talk about losers.
Oh man, the Cowboys.
I just feel like the Cowboys this offseason, they end up not taking a running back in the draft when there's a glaring hole.
That one to me was shocking. That there were a lot of good running backs, and they stayed on the board forever, and Dallas made no effort.
I mean, this was such a running back heavy draft class. Like, there was no guy that really stood out from the pack to there was no Bijan Robinsons, right? There's no Ezekiel Elliott's. There's no Bijan Robinsons. We get that, right? There's no Saquon Barkley's. But what there was a lot of very good running backs. I think I'm trying to remember the exact number, but it was insane. I think there was by the end of day 2, wasn't there something like 6 or 7 running backs taken, which is was it day 2 or was it round 4? I don't remember, but it was there was a lot of running backs taken relatively early in the draft, which over the years people have started to see as as less of a premium position as they had years and years ago. So
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I think the Jets.
We took 2.
The Jets drafted 2 running backs, right?
Yeah.
Just because the talent is there, right? I mean, sometimes it's do you draft for need, do you draft for best available? I feel like the Cowboys, they did nothing in free agency. They got worse in free agency. And in the draft, they didn't get as much better as everybody else got in their division. So I think the Cowboys just kind of, they talk about all in, but just truthfully, it's all in what? Right?
All in my ass.
All in my ass.
They ended up coming away with Tyler Guyton, who is a lot of people's 6th offensive tackle on the board. Marshawn Keeland, the edge from Western Michigan. Cooper Bebe, who is actually a really good interior lineman.
Yeah, he was really good guard.
And then, I can't really see any other names of note there.
It just feels like depth, just across the board. Like it's just depth, right? They got offensive tackle Nathan Thomas. They got a receiver Ryan Flerney, who I don't know much about. He's from Southeast Missouri State. I don't really know anything about him.
It's interesting, Esfand. I feel like the all-in it was more of a threat from Jerry Jones than anything, where it's like, listen, if you don't win with this team, we're not paying you, and we're going to get rid of you.
Yeah, maybe.
Mainly to Dak.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to be fair, the Cowboys do have a very talented roster. I don't really know anything about Kalen Carson either. Looking at Kalen Carson, some people had him graded kind of high. He was a 5th-round pick, and people had him graded as as high as a 3rd-round pick. But I personally don't really know anything about him. It's something that just is very. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of disappointing, especially if you look at how good the Commanders got and how good the Eagles got this offseason. And even the Giants are at least doing stuff, right? And the Giants are ass, right? The Giants that's like a disaster right now, but they're at least doing stuff. The Cowboys aren't doing anything. It's just like they just sit there and they just let it happen. It's like, okay, everybody's getting better and we're just going to sit there and let ourselves be worse. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. How'd you guys feel about your teams?
I was actually really, really pleased with the Jets draft. They kind of made all the smart plays. None of the big flashy plays. Obviously, you take a lineman in the 1st round, but you take a guy that allowed 1 sack his entire college career, a young guy who now gets to sit behind the greatest offensive tackle that's ever played for Dallas in his kind of twilight of his career over in New York. And the other pick I really, really loved was Malachi Corley, the wide receiver we took later on in the third. He had the most yards after catch in all of college football. So he's a guy where it's literally like just get him the rock and watch him beat the shit out of people. And I love that. So I don't know about doubling up on running back. That makes me nervous that they're worried about the viability of Izzy Abadaconda as our backup running back. But that kid from Wisconsin can bang, bro. And I think that's a really nice compliment to Brees. To have someone who can just get in there and just mow people over. So looking forward to that.
Jokes aside, I was kind of half joking with the Bears conversation, but
Right.
The Vikings I'm pretty happy with their draft performance. I think that they did give up a little bit too much real estate to get what they got. However, I think when you look at the big picture and how much cap space they have coming into the next couple of years, I think that the moves make a little bit more sense, and I'm comfortable with the decisions they make. I watched the tape on JJ McCarthy. I think there's a lot of potential there, and obviously I love Dallas Turner. I love that pick to replace Daniil Hunter on the defensive line.
Yeah.
And then we picked up a good cornerback from the University of Oregon.
Let's talk about the most pressing thing. How you feeling about JJ? Are you riding with JJ now? Are you riding with JJ to JJ?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, JJ McCarthy.
JJ the Jet
like I
trade.
said, I watched his tape. Watched a lot of tape, and he's good, man. He's good. I didn't really give him the shot. He's good. He hangs tight in the pocket. He throws darts too. I always kind of question his arm strength, but I was watching some of the tape, and he throws darts. He's accurate. He's cool under pressure. And he keeps the play alive. And I think when you got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison in your receiving core, you keep that play alive, somebody's going to break open, So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm excited for it.
Well, I think so. Austin, to your point, the quarterback position has changed so much over the years, right? Like the kind of guy that we would see today as like take a JJ McCarthy, a Bo Nix, these guys who are, they're not really seen as like dual threat guys, right? They're mobile, they're decent athletes, right? And every quarterback coming in is. 20, 30 years ago, it was not like that, right? 20, 30 years ago, and I used the Don McNabb comparison for, I was talking about Jaden Daniels. And it's, even though they're built differently, but play style wise, right? Donovan McNabb was seen as like a scrambler. He was seen as like a dual threat guy, early in his career. Now he did run quite a bit, I think, his rookie year, but that's not really what he was. It's just that there wasn't really a whole lot of fast quarterbacks back then, right? Even Tony Romo was seen as a scrambler early in his career, and now that's like the norm. Like that level of athleticism is the norm for quarterbacks in the NFL. And you're seeing the guys like who are actual dual threat guys, or like the Lamar Jacksons, right? The guys who are running in the 4.3s, 4.4s. So yeah, no, that's a massive, massive deal. And a part of it is just how the game has changed, how the game of football has changed over the years. And it's the opposite of, how football. A lot of people think that things happen professionally and they roll downhill. Something happens in the NFL and then it goes to college and then it goes to high school. But in reality, it's the other way around. And the reason why that is because that's where the talent comes from. So you have things that are established in middle school, high school, that then roll into college, that then roll into the NFL. And that's just how it is. Namely, speaking of quarterbacks used to be, hey, let's find the guy on the field that can throw the football the best and then teach him how to read a defense. Now the quarterback position has changed to where it's, hey, let's find the best athlete on the field, put him at quarterback, and then teach him how to throw a football. And that's how a lot of middle school football teams win games. And then that rolls into high school, and then that ends up rolling into the scholarships and whatnot, and that rolls into college. And then by the time you get into college, then what? Then that's whenever it's, you find out if you're peaked or not. Either you're really fast and that's just how you are, or you're not actually ever going to be that fast and that's just the way it is. So you better learn how to be more of a quarterback or not, and then you go from there. So that's that's a big part of the reason why the quarterback position has changed as they move on up. Yeah. So that's where that really comes from, Austin. Your point about J.J. McCarthy being good at extending the plays and how a lot of the quarterbacks are.
I think they're going to probably err on the side of caution with him, let him grow and develop. I think we're not going to see him on play as a starter this year in Minnesota if the Vikings have it their way. Unless Sam Darnold is a complete disaster, I don't think you're going to see him until year 2, which is a possibility. But they're eager not to rush his development. Even if Sam Darnold is a disaster, I think it's very much, is JJ ready? Not, do we need a quarterback on the field? I can see him being the number 3 QB on the depth chart, to be honest.
Yeah. So how did you? I want to go back and I want to talk about the Jets draft. Will, do you want to tell us what you thought of the Jets draft?
Yeah, as I said, I think it wasn't the sexy pick. I mean, there are a lot of people that wanted Brock Bowers, and rightly so. He's the sexy prospect, and he's a pass catcher who, was playing for a national championship caliber team and had a lot of interesting ways to stretch the field and to get open. But I do think that when you have old linemen and you're the New York Jets and you've suffered more offensive line injuries than any other 2 teams combined over the last 3 years, I think in the last 10 years we've only had one line stay healthy ever. So obviously you have to take into account that your depth is gonna play. And I think any Jets fan who looks at the Jets and is like, yeah, these guys are going to play the whole season, you're delusional. They just want the shiny thing. They want to buy the jersey because that's what we have to look forward to. It's like, get the shiny thing because the season's going to fucking suck, and that's it. So you can be excited during the draft about taking your one prospect, and then when it actually gets to the season, you get your fucking teeth knocked down your throat, and that's it. But I honestly think that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are a real GM and a real coach. They're not just meme coaches or GMs like the Jets usually have. And so I think they really think that they can win. And I think they really thought they could win as well last year. So I think with all the line help they brought in, plus Olu Fashanu, you have a good chance of at least always fielding a competitive line. I would have liked them to trade down maybe one more time and take Troy Fontenot, just because of his versatility. I like Olu Fashanu. I'm a little bit worried about his run blocking on a team that I think is going to be a run-first team. But, you take the prospect you feel good about and you take the trade down. And then in the later rounds, I think we got the left-hand Bauer to Breece Hall, and that kid out of Wisconsin. He's a banger. We needed a third down back desperately. We picked up Malachi Corley, who's going to be our slot receiver day one. And then, honestly, I think one of the coolest stories of the draft was Jaquiz Stingers, our player that we got out of the CFL. He's a football player who never played a single down of college football, who played in the fan-controlled football league, and a manager from the CFL watched a game as a guest and was like, wait, that kid can ball.
Nice.
And so he signed him to the CFL as a rookie. He was the CFL player of the year with something I think he had 8 picks, something ridiculous. So he entered the draft as a 1-year CFL player, and he got taken, I think, in the 5th round by the Jets. So Jaquiz Stingers, a defensive secondary player who could be a really, really valuable asset if he continues to grow the way he has. Another guy who just has incredible RAS scores. So yeah, that's pretty much everything that happened in the draft. Oh, and we got Mr. Irrelevant. I think his name was Javon Key. He's already being called the Key Master.
The Key Master.
So we'll see how Mr. Irrelevant works out in New York.
There we go. And he was a safety, right? Javon Key?
Yeah.
Wait, was it Javon? Javon Key? Yeah. Jalen. Was it Jalen?
I can't remember off the top
J
of my
Key.
head.
It's J Key. Yeah, I mean, look, it's Mr. Relevant, right? No, it's funny because people always talk about Mr. Irrelevant, but then it's who ended up being Mr. Irrelevant for the 49ers. There was a certain quarterback who's pretty damn good. I don't know if you guys know his name, but he was also called Mr. Irrelevant at one point. If you guys have never heard of that guy, so yeah,
Jalen Key, there it is. Sorry.
is Jalen okay? Yeah. So no, not Trey, not Trey Lance. It was Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy. Okay. Yeah. I want
That's
to
hilarious.
talk about the Chiefs a little bit. Chiefs, Super Bowl champions, defending Super Bowl champions coming in. They drafted Xavier Worthy, right, in the first round. And then they went through and I think they had a pretty solid draft, kind of beefing up the depth of their roster. I mean, the Chiefs are obviously already in a good position. They're a very talented team. They have the best quarterback in football right now in Pat Mahomes, in my opinion. But they went, I think they drafted 3 offensive linemen and 3 offensive linemen, receiver, 2 DBs, and a tight end. So they went they went all in on depth. Right, they want to go and they want to try and build around their quarterback, continue to build around Pat Mahomes, and really solidify that offensive line, for the long haul. One guy that they ended up drafting is they drafted a Hunter Nourzad, who I'm pretty sure is Persian. He went to Cornell.
All right.
Yeah, he's an Iranian guy. He's another Iranian lineman. But yeah, he was at Cornell, and then he transferred from Cornell to Penn State, and then ended up getting drafted. So kind of funny. It's like, right, this Ivy League player. But I mean, this is another guy like 6'3", 317 pounds. I just looked him up here, but looks like we have another Bakhtiari guy to hang our hat on, because David Bakhtiari was he's another Persian guy. So. Wait, it's pronounced Colonel. It's the highest rank. No, that's not. No, Cornell. Not, from The Office. Dude, it's been so long. It's been so long. Okay. Why are you lisping when you say his name? Wait, do I have a lisp?
I don't think you have a lisp.
Hello? Sick. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think the Chiefs had another good draft going in there and getting a big playmaker, a guy to stretch the field in Xavier Worthy in the first round that we saw, but then also really filling out the O-line depth there as well. Getting 3 linemen, getting a couple of DBs, and then tight end Jared Wiley out of TCU. Which quarterbacks do you think are NFL ready? I mean, I think the one guy that stands out of the pack is kind of obvious, right? Caleb Williams. But after Caleb Williams, you have pretty much like there's Caleb Williams, then there's Jaden Daniels and Drake May are kind of seen as the next 2 guys, and then you have another 4 or 5 guys in another pack. Michael Penix, a lot of people would have put him in the Drake May, Jaden Daniels conversation for a bit, but I think as time went on, 1, he had the injury, but then 2, like people talk about his mechanics, say he has kind of like poor mechanics, and the combination of that plus the injury concerns and the age, he's a little bit older as well, kind of dropped him down a bit. I think if he can get his mechanics tightened up or whatnot, like I'm not a quarterback expert personally. I know a hell of a lot about a lot of things, but I wouldn't say I'm a quarterback expert. I mean, I do think Michael Penix could be good, right?
Yeah. He's not gonna play though.
He's not gonna play right off the rip, unless.
No, he's not gonna play for 3 years.
Well, unless there's an injury.
Unless a disaster happens.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Bo Nix in Denver?
I mean, he's got the coach.
Is there no?
He's got a coach that can help him out for sure. I don't love that pick. I don't know anybody who does.
Yeah, I mean, I
Other
feel
than-
like other than probably Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Austin being the big Oregon Ducks fan that he is, Austin probably loves that Bo Nix pick. But
I think it was a great pick.
well, with Bo Nix, you have when you're in that situation, your coach finally has he's like, you know what, this is my quarterback. We're gonna mold this guy. Bo Nix does have all the physical tools. He has all the physical tools. He has everything that he needs. So if he can really get molded into what's going to fit for Sean Payton's offense, then yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to I mean, I think a sign of a good coach in football is somebody who can take the players that they have, they take the tools that they have, and they find a way to make those tools work. And I'm not saying that Sean Payton is not a good coach, don't get me wrong, but it is incredibly difficult to do the things that you want to do if you just don't have the guys that you need. And I think if Sean Payton, who is a highly decorated coach in the NFL, both as a coordinator and as a head coach, can get his guys, get the guys that he needs. And I know last year was kind of a disaster for Denver. Everybody thought Denver might be a good team going in. But I think if he gets the guys that he needs and has a chance to actually build on them, then you might get something good cooking. I really do. You know? And he was only good because of Drew Brees. I don't agree. I think that Drew Brees obviously is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, but I don't think that they can accomplish the things that they did over with the Saints and what Sean Payton has accomplished in his career without being a good coach. Like it's not a fluke for that long, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I feel. I mean, I think Bo Nix might need some time to develop, but it looks like he's going to be getting forced in the fire a little bit. So he might not be good right away. He might be one of those guys that he kind of gets fast tracked, right? Like they force feed him a whole bunch of reps. Because they just don't really have any other choices, right? Yeah, Austin, how do you feel about the Vikings?
You don't think Zach Wilson's gonna get the nod?
I don't think so. I think they'll go in and
I'm being funny.
No. I think it's a good question though. I do.
I don't know if it is.
No. I'll tell you why. It's a good question. Because obviously they went out and they got him, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think there's another quarterback with any legitimate starting NFL experience on the roster, right? So I think they'll go into camp, they'll say it's an open competition, and I think that unless Zach Wilson has like some kind of just like next level just development from last year to this year, I think that Zach Wilson, and as much as I want to like the guy, I mean I do like I like Zach Wilson. Like the character of who Zach Wilson is great. Just the existence of Zach Wilson is fantastic. But I think you go in open competition between the two quarterbacks, and then you end up taking the guy who you want to take the guy who's better. But I think if Zach Wilson is a little bit better, then you kind of just
things ever. If Zach goes to Denver and fucking shows up and starts playing football, that would break my heart in ways I didn't even know possible.
Yeah. How many years has he been in the league?
This will be his 4th year.
4th year in the league, yeah. People mention Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham is an interesting sort of. I remember. Sorry. Okay. Yawning. Okay. Man, I remember Jarrett Stidham from when he was at Baylor. Jarrett Stidham, when he was at Baylor, I remember him getting recruited. He was a big-time player, came out of Stephenville High School. This is whenever I was in college, and I was like actively like following a lot of this stuff. So Jarrett Stidham was supposed to be like the dude. You know, Jarrett Stidham was going to be the truth. And I mean, he came out for Baylor, and he was phenomenal, right? I'm going to look up his stats again here. Because I remember when he was playing initially, 11.6 yards per attempt, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Every time this guy tried to throw the football, he threw an interception. Or he threw for a first down. On
That's
top
what
of that,
we're looking for.
he had 2 rushing touchdowns, right? And now this is over 100 attempts. He didn't play the whole season, right? But think about it this way: 109 attempts, and every time you touch the football, you're getting a first down. That's insane.
Pretty good.
That's insane. And then he ended up going from Baylor. He transferred. I think he redshirted a year. I can't remember the exact story, but he ended up playing at Auburn for a couple of years. Ends up getting, ends up getting drafted by the Patriots in the 4th round, and he's kind of just been a journeyman in the NFL, going from team to team, and he hasn't really played a whole lot. He played a couple games as a starter in Las Vegas 2 years ago, and then also a couple games last year in Denver. I think Jarrett Stidham, if Jarrett Stidham was the guy, I think you would have seen him as the guy by now. Unbelievable quarterback growing up, really talented guy, but he just might not be that NFL starting quarterback that's going to like carry a franchise, and that's fine. I mean, this guy's going to be the kind of guy who goes in, he's in the NFL for 10 plus years, and he's going to be a great relief guy, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, anything else you want to talk about draft wise? I feel like that first round is kind of the big exciting one where, you know, a lot of those prospects might, you know, pan out, or you have a pretty good look at them. And then after the second and third round, it's kind of just a shit shoot.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times there's guys that fall in the draft, right? You have some guys that fall in the second round and guys that fall in the third round. But even guys that fall late, man. I mean, there's always a chance that some guys go and they end up falling real late in the draft, and it's for a variety of different reasons. Usually, what ends up happening is guys fall in the draft because they're misevaluated. Sometimes it's because of character issues, but a lot of times it's because they're just not evaluated properly, right? And whenever they're not evaluated properly, hey, I heard this one scout said this, and people start looking over on other people's papers, and they're like, oh, hey, this guy said this. Okay, I'm just gonna say what he said. And then you kind of get something stuck in your head, right? I'm telling you, I've been in a college video room, okay? I've been in a college video room with NFL scouts, and I promise you that happens all the time. You'll have NFL, like different teams, NFL scouts sitting there, and they're sitting there watching tape. They have the clicker and they're watching tape, and what ends up happening, they'll talk about stuff, and I have heard a scout say something about a player, make a statement about a player, say it out loud, right? Evaluate a player, say it out loud, and then have another scout be like, yeah, I'm seeing the same thing, and they're talking about it, and I'm like, what? No, that's not how that guy is. Not at all, right? And it'll be like, it doesn't, I mean, these are NFL scouts, right? They're obviously very, very talented, but there is like some degree of like, you have a subconscious that kind of builds up, right? You have a white wide receiver and everybody is immediately like Wes Welker, Cole Beasley, you know, all these types. And it's like, dude, just because a wide receiver is white doesn't make him Wes Welker, Cole Beasley, Danny Amendola, right? It's just not what, it's just not, come on. Like I've literally experienced it firsthand. I was like, oh my gosh, the meme is real. It's happening. Yeah, no, he's a real blue collar, hardworking guy. You know, he's not a natural athlete. And it's like, bro, what? Come on.
A grinder.
The hell? He's just a real grinder. It's not a natural athlete. It's like, okay. Kind of back to the original point of what I was talking about. One guy that comes to mind who kind of fell in the draft a little bit is tight end from Texas. Jatavian Sanders. Jatavian Sanders, pass catching tight end, about 250 pounds, 6'4", good athlete. His problem is he's not the best inline blocker, if I remember right, but he's got great body control, knows how to use his size. He's a good sort of matchup against a lot of other linebackers, particularly like bigger guys. A lot of linebackers are getting a little bit smaller and faster nowadays, particularly with these defenses basically playing linebackers as like big safeties, right? You start seeing that nickel 4-2-5 where you got your free safety, single high, and then you have the strong safeties coming down. You got two strong safeties basically working as outside linebackers. You got your two mics, 4 down linemen, right? That's a very popular front that you're seeing nowadays. Part of the reason why is because of the flexibility. That's why you see some of these linebackers coming in the league at like 220 pounds. They're listed as linebacker, They're 220,
Yeah.
230. And well, 230 is like a tweener, right? But 220, it's like you are a very light linebacker, but really they're kind of that strong safety position, right? They'll be like a strong side, strong safety position. Yeah, it's interesting to see. But yeah, Jatavian Sanders something comes to mind.
I'm gonna answer some of Chat's questions.
Okay.
Any players in the draft that you think go in the first 12 teams fantasy league? I'm gonna be honest. The only one that really kind of whets my whistle for that is Caleb. I think Caleb as a quarterback could have a pretty good fantasy year.
Yeah, because they might just force.
If you're taking the last QB off the board, he'll probably be there, and he might get you some points.
Yeah, honestly, being able to take somebody like a Caleb Williams, this guy's probably going to run a little bit. Now, the big thing with Caleb Williams, okay, when evaluating Caleb Williams, the big thing that you see with this guy, and it's his biggest strength and his biggest weakness, I think I talked about this during the draft show. This son of a bitch just always looking downfield. Always. Okay? He wants the big play, and it makes it really exciting to watch. All right? Really exciting to watch. However, it can get him in trouble a little bit. I think in the NFL, you might end up taking a sack that he shouldn't take. He might end up, hopefully not throwing interceptions, but who knows? That could end up happening. But this guy is, look, he'll make a miss, doesn't run with it. He'll sit there, and he's just looking downfield, right? Or he will just sit in the pocket forever. And he's used to having that great big offensive line over at USC, having a lot of poise in the pocket, borderline looking oblivious at times, right? Just with how, it's almost like there's nothing there, and he's just sitting there on air. He's got to get used to that in the NFL, especially playing for the Bears, right? I mean, we all know that they've had their offensive line issues over the years. So I think that's what it really relies on. They have to build around Caleb Williams. They cannot make the same mistake that they made with Justin Fields. They have to support him. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen.
Yep. The other guys, if you're looking at fantasy football, that I think would be high value from this draft, Brock Bowers. Tight end's always a shit shoot in fantasy. There's really usually 5 guys you can rely on, and then there's a pretty significant drop off. I think Brock could actually get you some points this year. Also, I like Malik Neighbors. I don't know who else they're going to throw the ball to in MetLife for the Giants. So that's a guy that could also get you some points.
Yeah. Brock Bowers, I think, is I think I said it before, he's a little bit smaller, right? But the skill set is somewhat similar to a Rob Gronkowski. Somewhat similar to a Rob Gronkowski type. I wonder, dude, bringing back that 2 tight end set, you got Michael Myers, you got Brock Bowers. That is certainly going to be fun. That's going to be fun to see what they decide to do with that. I think whatever we were talking about, I keep saying Myers. Whenever I talked about Michael Meyer last year, my comparison that I used, my player comp that I used was a Jason Witten. That's really who Michael Meyer reminded me of whenever I was watching his film. A little bit smaller than Jason Witten, but the skill set is very similar. Brock Bauer, more.
Esfand, it's Mayer. Mike Myers is the killer from.
Was it Mayer? I think I always called it Meyer.
Yeah, he's the killer from Halloween.
I've called him Meyer. I've called him Meyer forever. Yeah. Oh, I just always called him Meyer because that's what it's pronounced. Anyway, so Michael Meyer, this guy is
killer.
This guy is just an absolute killer, man. I think having both of those guys as part of your offense, you kind of have like a junior Jason Witten and a junior Rob Gronkowski, and I think there's a lot of potential there to see what the Raiders end up doing with Mayer and Bauer. So that's gonna be fun to see.
Yeah. Could be an interesting year for Minshew Mania, baby.
Dude, Minshew Mania. Now, is this Gardner Minshew's last chance? Like, people just want Gardner Minshew to be. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna be honest. Minshew is interesting to me because if I am being honest,
okay,
he's never played shitty. I've never seen him outright be the reason that his team is losing.
That's the thing.
He's
Go ahead,
never
bud.
been like electric, but like there's a lot of guys in the NFL starting that I don't know. I've never seen Minshew be like dog water. He's always like, all right, kind of balling.
Yeah, that's the big thing with him. I mean, just like you said, it's like people. He's not. Nobody ends up really seeing him as the problem, but also when he's at quarterback, it's like things aren't really working.
Yeah, we
But-
don't know if he's the solution, but he's not the problem.
Yeah, so and then it's like you don't really want to write him off, and people like his personality so much. They're like, man, I just want him to be good. I want him to be good, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think comparing him to Fitzpatrick, kind of he's the new Fitzmagic, is kind of like that, isn't it? Even with the nickname and everything, Minshew Mania. It's a fun story.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fun story to watch.
Well, dude, there's another guy who like when Fitzpatrick was clicking, that boy was winning games. Like he
Yeah, actually.
frustrated people because he would just show up and start bawling.
Yeah, he was. So Ryan Fitzpatrick's thing, if I remember correctly, was he wasn't like super physically talented, right? But
I mean, he had a beard and a gut by the time he stopped playing.
yeah, but he was basically like a career backup until I'm gonna look this up. What
Dude,
year was
he had a trajectory. He would come in as a backup. The starter would get hurt. He'd play outrageously well. He'd get the starting job, and then he'd fall off.
Yeah. I'm trying to find what when it was. I'm just looking up his career stats. Yeah, it really wasn't until because he didn't play at all his first 3 years, really. Oh no, he played his rookie year a little bit actually. I think Austin is having some tech issues. He sent me a message saying he was having some issues here. So we might be losing Austin here in just a second, but if so, that's all good because we are about to we are going to be ending soon as well. Yeah, it was in Buffalo. They brought him in. He started 8 games. He started half the season. And it really wasn't until that 2011 season he threw for 3,800 yards.
That dude, Jets legendary season.
And then that's when our teams were like, okay, like maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick's the real deal. But he didn't really develop after that. And then it was in 2015, that Jets season was that season where he came in, threw for
Legendary
3,900, 31 touchdowns, and people were like,
where the
damn.
Jets wide receivers had the most tandem wide receivers in NFL history, and then we absolutely fucking collapsed against a shitty Bills team in the last week of our schedule.
Yeah.
And I still remember I was in Naples, Florida with my parents on a trip, and I wanted to blow my brains out.
Yeah, that was they were 10-6, and I think do I remember this right? Did they not make the playoffs even though they had 10 wins?
No, we did.
That's what it was.
We did not make the playoffs.
Yeah, they had 10 wins and ended up not making the playoffs. And that was the big story. The Jets were like one of the sweetheart teams that year because they're like, oh, Fitzmagic. That's when people were like, oh, damn, okay. Yeah, Fitz kept getting put on
We
lead
also
rosters.
had Decker and Edwards, man, who went bonkers.
Yeah, Eric Decker. I remember when Eric Decker was in
bonkers
Denver
that year.
Yeah, what happened to him? He had some good years and then he just kind of slowly. Eric Decker. I want to look up his stats.
Jets are never sweethearts. They're
No.
America's most hated team.
No, not at all. I would say
Not
last
even
year
close.
they were definitely one of the sweetheart teams going into the season.
Hating the Jets is like pistol whipping a blind kid.
Yeah, no.
Like what?
Yeah, I don't know anybody who hates the Jets. Yeah, see Eric Decker. Yeah, what happened to Eric Decker? Because he had 1,000 yards that year with the Jets, and then after that, he played 3 games the next season, and then
Even Jets fans hate the goddamn Jets. Dude, guys, it's not even close. Number 1, Dallas Cowboys, most hated team in America. Easy.
most
Number
popular
2,
and most hated.
Philadelphia Eagles. And it's not because of the team. It's because you have the worst god-awful fans to ever fucking curse the planet Earth. those two franchises are so far and away the most hated teams. Number 3, the Seahawks, because it's a bunch of fucking coffee drinking hipster fucks who didn't watch football until 10 minutes ago when you started winning Super Bowls. And then they were like, we're the 12th man. We're the 12th. Shut the fuck up.
I'm trying to think.
And then
it's got to be
maybe
Patriots.
The Jets.
It's got to be the Patriots over the Jets.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Fuck the Patriots.
The Patriots have 20 years of Tom
Bunch
Brady.
of racist ass bags.
I don't know about that one, but I do.
What do you mean you don't know about that one? New England has a problem with racism, you think?
I don't know. But the thing is the fact that they were so good for so long just makes everybody hate them, dude. It just makes everyone hate them.
I don't hate them anymore. They're pathetic.
Yeah, it's been rough lately, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, Seattle's still 12th man for Texas A&M. Yeah, actually, I think they did. I think A&M was first with the 12th man thing.
Someone in chat said, "We got a black coach. What do you mean? What do you mean? You ever heard of Donald Sterling, the owner of the Clippers? He had a black coach too. You want to look into that?"
So yeah. I'm trying to think what other major points do we have that we want to bring up here before we wrap it up? Hating teams because they win Classic? True. That's how it works. Chat, do you guys have any more questions? Did they mention Penix? Yeah, I mean, I think he just needs time to develop. We'll see what happens. I don't think that was a good pick for what the Falcons needed. Will thinks the same thing. We talked about that quite a bit already. But yeah, that's I think with Michael Penix, it's gonna be a wait and see.
Talk about how the goddamn Chiefs fix their biggest weakness. I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest. I know that Chiefs fans are all gonna like be really excited because they drafted the fast guy, and that's very exciting for Chiefs fans because you're immediately
fast
going
guy.
cheated 2.0. But the Chiefs' biggest problem last year was hands, dropped balls, man. It absolutely killed that team.
Yeah, it did.
And there were so many sure-handed wide receivers, and you literally took the only one with a drop issue because he was the fastest one. So I don't know. Chiefs fans are all going to freak out because they think that they have Cheetah 2.0, but I don't know if there's ever going to be a Cheetah 2.0 because Cheetah is one of the best wide receivers of all time, and drafting like a Walmart version of him and just assuming that he's going to do the same thing, I don't know. To me, I was a little, I thought that there were better fits for them. Lad McConkey, I thought would have gone absolutely crazy on the Chiefs. A few other of those guys, but they got the fast guy because they think that, Tyreek Hill was just fast and benefited from a quarterback. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a really good point there, right? The 40-yard dash, the speed, that's always like the sexy thing, right? But Tyreek Hill isn't just fast. People forget about mechanics. People forget about fundamentals. People forget about what makes these receivers good. And being fast has very, very, very little to do with being a good wide receiver. It can help make a good wide receiver even better. But as far as
ask the Raiders how just drafting off speed goes.
Yeah, was Darius Hayward-Bay like 10 years ago, like all that stuff, right? Like if you draft a guy just because of the speed, that's just not good enough, right? This isn't Madden. This is real life. Speed and the physical capabilities of a player make somebody who's good even better, right? It maximizes their potential. But if you don't have those fundamentals, you're not a good route runner. You don't have good hands. You don't have the ability to release off the line and be able to beat the press. You're not really gonna make it, right? It doesn't matter how fast you are if you can't catch the damn ball, right? And that's what makes Tyreek Hill so good.
I do think that he is a good wide receiver. Don't get me wrong. I think that he was a late first round, potential early second round pick, but I just feel like when the thing that plagues you is dropped balls, like that is what has plagued the Chiefs is drops. picking the receiver that is like that was like the one knock on him was just kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. What I'm talking about has less to do with Xavier Worthy and more so to do with the concept and really the Chiefs' problem as a whole, like Will's saying. Because yeah, Xavier Worthy is. I mean, he's totally, for lack of a better word, worthy of being a high second, late first round pick. But I mean, when you look at stuff like Kadarius Toney, so Kadarius Toney registered. Okay, so what is like marked as a drop? Like there's very specific things for like how people do stats, right? And they're like how they do the stats is like, okay, what actually constitutes a drop, like a straight up drop. Kadarius Toney, who he was, I mean, this is a guy who came into the NFL and he was a highly regarded receiver coming into the NFL, coming in from college, right? And people thought he was going to be very good. This guy ended up having 5 drops last year, okay? He was with the Giants for a few years, didn't really do anything, okay? Didn't really do anything. He was the number 20th overall pick to the Giants. He had 400 yards his rookie year. And then he ends up getting traded to the Chiefs. And he has 27 catches, 5 drops. So for every, 5 and then some, 5.2 catches that a guy has, he's going to drop a pass. That's terrible. That is so bad in the NFL. And the Chiefs had that problem on their whole roster. I mean, I don't know, right? Like, you got to make the big catches whenever it counts, right? Like, Brock, you're saying, like, he was a big reason that the Chiefs won the 2022 Super Bowl. Like, I mean, look, you got to make the catches when it counts, of course, but just as a whole, as a regular thing throughout the season, yeah. Wait, 2022? Anyway, whatever. Yeah, they had that problem on their whole roster. So, May looks like someone who tried to draw Justin Herbert from memory. Wait, really? Justin Herbert. Hold on. Yeah.
Dude, did you see the clip of his brothers coming on and leaving him an NFL message?
No.
Oh, dude, it was so funny. So all 3 of his brothers are athletes.
Okay.
And like, you know how everybody leaves like the "Welcome to the NFL. We're so proud of you" message to like their siblings. Dude, he gets on and it's his brothers. And the first one goes, "This dude's a pretty boy." And the second one goes, "Trash." And the third brother goes, "He's a bitch."
They're just talking on. Wait, is this
Pretty
it?
boy. Overrated. Pretty
It's
boy.
awesome, dude.
Overrated.
Pretty boy, overrated.
Dude, this is on the official NFL YouTube channel.
He's a bitch. And look, you should see him be like, "What the hell?" Like, everybody else's messages for their family is
That's
like,
so
"We're
good.
so proud of you. Like, all your hard work is coming to fruition." And
That's
this
great.
is just his brother calling him bitch made, dude.
Oh, that's wonderful, dude. I love stuff like that, dude.
That is the best sibling moment in the NFL maybe ever.
It's
That
so
is
good,
incredible.
man. That's fantastic.
He's a bitch.
It's just, I love how it's just like on the NFL YouTube channel. Oh man.
Can you imagine without any, like, you can see his reaction too. He got no heads up that he was just about to get fucking
Yeah, he got
churned.
blindsided. Fantastic. Hey, okay, we are a little bit over time. I do want to mention a couple things. We did get our winner of the pick'ems for the draft.esfand.tv, and the winner is Mint Fresh. So Mint Fresh, congratulations. You got $1,000 from Cash App at a Star Wars PC. So huge congratulations to Mint Fresh. Huge congratulations. And also chat, before we wrap up, just one last shout out to Cash App for the help supporting the show. With the Cash App card, you can get access to discounts at all of your favorite places to spend money. Chipotle, Nike, Wendy's, even like a bunch of different services like Lyft, StubHub, anything like that. And Cash App also gives customers early access to certain concert tours and stuff like Drake and J. Cole, Karol G. Most recently, there was something with Future and Metro Boomin's "We Trust You" tour. So you guys can customize and order your Cash App card directly from the store. If you guys want to do that, Cash App is providing support for all kinds of stuff now. So yeah, Super Bowl prediction score with score right now.
Okay.
Cowboys win. T.O.'s gonna get signed again. Terrell Owens gonna get signed, and they're gonna trade for Terrell Owens' son, and then they're gonna put T.O. and his son on the same team, and then Terrell Owens gonna have 2,000 yards, and then they're gonna win the Super Bowl.
Are you ready for this Super Bowl? It's gonna be the Detroit Lions against the Houston Texans, baby.
Ooh, you know what? Give me the Texans.
How about that for a little sauce? How about that for a little sauce in your biscuit?
I'll take it. I like that. You know what? I like that prediction. I like the Lions and Texans in the Super Bowl. I actually like that prediction.
Hell yeah.
That's a good prediction. I think both of those teams will be contenders this year. Yeah. I think both those teams will be contenders this year. So my favorite teams, obviously the Cowboys. My second favorite team is the Texans. So I'm really glad that, a lot of times when the Cowboys blow it, then I'm kind of just like frick, and then I don't really have anything to rely on. Well, now I have the Texans, thankfully. So
you got that fallback team.
I got the fallback. So I'm.
How could you trust Will? Because I'm frequently right about football.
You
guys forget I had the second most accurate mock draft. And the only reason there was 25 ties is because you all copied me.
Well, to be fair, okay, maybe we should stop. Maybe we should stop doing the mock draft, like showing our whole mock draft on stream at work.
Fair.
Maybe we should. We got to figure out a better way to do that next year.
I'm going to say something to everybody that copied me. You're real ones, bro. Thanks for believing. Thanks for believing in the GOAT, dude. I wish we could all given you all a prize.
Well, do you remember last year what we had? We had like all three of our mock drafts. We had different. Okay, so myself, Erob, and Will had pretty different mock drafts last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
But we tied.
Said always writing a Jets fan, hey, fucktard. You don't root for the team that you think is going to win. You root for the team that you grew up watching.
So, yeah, it's a.
I choose what team I root for by which one's the best.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I mean, look,
You're called a front runner, dork.
Everybody picks their. You gotta pick your team, right? You pick your team. That's your team.
I didn't pick my team. I was born in Long Island, and I was taken to games like a hostage from the time I was 12 years old.
You chose to spawn there. Okay, you should have.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you should have picked a different state. I picked Texas.
Oh my God, this is
just re-roll, dude.
bad spawn.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching the Draft Night Extravaganza, the Esfand Draft Night Extravaganza post show. With myself and Will, and Austin had some tech issues and he wasn't able to stay the whole time, unfortunately. But it was great. Huge shout out to our sponsors, Starforge, Twisted Tea, Cash App, of course. It was a great show this year, and we can't wait for football season. We're gonna roll out, and we didn't get to do, Will and I didn't get to do a tailgate this year, but next year we will, or I guess last year, but this year we will. For sure. We did the first ever tailgate together. The first ever tailgate that we ever did.
Can you do the Super Bowl show this year, baby? Can we do that? Can we get that done?
I want to do something for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
But Yeah, we can talk about it. We'll talk about stuff. So, anyways, guys, the stream's not over, but the show is. So I'm gonna go over. We're gonna do a little bit more RP. Chat, say bye, Will. Hearts in the chat for Will. We'll see Will later, and we will see Cornwood in just a second. See you, Will.
All you as always.
All right, GG's. Let's go back to. We're gonna do a little bit more RP here.